Today is our week 6 of the subject Business Finance, and now we are going to discuss new topic. So our topic for today is all about short-term financing sources and costs. Okay, before we discuss our lesson for today, let me first read to you our objectives. So at the end of this chapter, the students should be able to A. Describe the factors in selecting sources of short-term financing. B. Identify the sources of short and term financing. And determine the costs of short-term financing based on sources. And now we have here financial terms that may help you enrich your business English vocabulary. So first we have the secured credit, you have unsecured credit, collateral, cost of credit, repayment terms, accrual of expense, commercial paper, pledging of receivable. So these are the terms that may help you enrich your business English vocabulary, and also we are going to discuss tackle this one on our next slides. And also we have the last one, the factoring of receivable. So now we are going to proceed with our lesson for today, the short-term financing concept. So the business may adopt the following current asset investment policies. First is the conservative or the relaxed. So when you say conservative or relaxed, with this policy, the business prefers to have a substantial amount of current assets. The second is we have the aggressive or restricted. So the business maintains or holds a small amount of current assets. Third is we have the moderate. So the level of current assets held by the business is not too high or too low. And in financing, the current assets held by the company, the business may adopt the following policies. First is the conservative approach. So when you say conservative approach, the current or temporary assets of the business are financed by short-term financing. And when you say aggressive approach also, this is the second, the business finances its current or temporary assets with non-spontaneous debt. Third is the maturing or the moderate matching approach. The business finances all its current assets with short-term and the non-spontaneous debt. So in the process of selecting the source of short-term financing, the financial officer must consider two important factors, and those important factors are: the first is the sources, the second one is the cost of short-term financing. Sources of short-term financing, what are those sources? So when you say short-term financing, this refers to a credit extended with a maturity period of less than 1 year from the time credit is granted. So the short-term credit may either be secured or unsecured. So when you say secured credit, this means that the funds borrowed are backed up by collateral in which specific asset is pledged in the event that the amounts borrowed, including related interests and penalty, are not settled. So that is for secured credit. So for unsecured credit, this is refers to financing granted without a specific asset used as collateral for the amount borrowed. So we have also the factors in selecting the source. So in selecting the source of short-term financing, the first is we have here the following that should be considered in selecting the source of short-term funds. First one is the availability of amount needed. Second is the cost of credit. Third is the repayment terms. And then fourth is the financing requirements. So sources of the short-term financing. What are the sources? So the common sources of short-term funds includes among the following. The first one is the accrual of expenses. So when you say accrued expenses or accrual, these are costs that have been incurred by the business but are not yet paid. In short, accruals of expenses are payables of the business. So when your suppliers trade credit, so because of the presence of high competition, companies now offer trade credit to customers in order to improve their sales figures. So trade credit provides source of funds since buyers are not required to make immediate payment on the date of purchase. So bank loans. So banks are another primary source of funds to support the business operation. So the bank loan is usually supported by a promissory note. So commercial paper, this is the sourcing of short-term funds using a commercial paper is usually made by large companies. So commercial paper is usually made by only by large companies that have a high or excellent credit rating. So it is unsecured, so only accredited high credit rating companies are allowed to issue its subject to the approval of the SEC or the Securities and Exchange Commission, and then also that commercial paper is simply a promissory note with a short-term maturity period. And the last one is the pledging and factoring of receivables. So receivable is a result of credit sales made by the business. So it is a good source of short-term funds. So in pledging, the receivables are used as collateral when borrowing. So that ends our lesson for today. Just kindly answer the activity sent on your LMS. And that could be all for today, and goodbye and thank you.